Unmuted.
Hello, my name is Isabella Perez, Recreation Leader for the City of Socorro. Thank you for joining today's meeting. Before the meeting begins, we would like to remind our guests to remove all hats and silence all electronic devices. No disruptive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to ejection and possible prosecution.
Hola, mi nombre es Judy Rodríguez, secretaria de Planificación de la Ciudad de Socorro. Gracias por participar en la reunión de hoy. Antes de que comience la reunión, nos gustaría recordarles a nuestros invitados favor de quitarse los sombreros y silenciar todos los dispositivos electrónicos. No se tolerará ningún comportamiento perturbador ni exabrupto y los infractores estarán sujetos a expulsión y posible procesamiento.
It is 6:03 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence in remembrance of August 3rd, 2019.
Four years ago, tragedy struck the borderland. Today, as a day of remembrance, we think of the 23 souls lost to gun violence. They are 23 souls taken from our community. As an act of solidarity with our sister city of El Paso, city staff has chosen to wear orange ribbons, as orange is the color of gun violence. As a tribute to Unite with Light, the city has lit up 23 lanterns outside of the courthouse for each of the souls lost, as well as the August 3rd mural. Tonight, our thoughts and prayers are with the families and victims on this day. Now, in this moment of silence, we will ring 23 bells, one for each of the souls lost on this day of remembrance. Thank you.
Item number 3, Establishment of Quorum.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Here.
Alejandro Garcia.
Here.
Mayor Ivy Avalos.
Here.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, Public Comment.
We have no speakers for public comment, Mayor.
Mayor, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to move item number 21 up.
Second.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
City Manager, item number 21, discussion and action to review and approve El Paso County 911 District FY 2024 budget plan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's that time of year again. The 911 District is presenting their fiscal year 2024 budget for approval. Mr. Scott Calderwood, the Director, is here present and would like to address Council for a few words.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Scott Calderwood. I'm the Executive Director for the El Paso County 911 District. And as Adriana has said, per our statute, it's time for us to bring our budget for your review and approval. The budget's pretty straightforward. We're in fine, sound financial position as usual, and you've had a chance to go over that. But what I really wanted to do is take a moment just to kind of highlight some of the new things that we are doing as a 911 district that would directly benefit the citizenry of Socorro. So we have fully transitioned over to what we call next generation 911, and that is basically the ability for us to provide 911 service on an internet protocol platform. What that does is it's going to allow us to do a lot of new and innovative things on a technological front. So we've been working with your interim police chief and city manager to roll out some of this new stuff. We've beta tested it already on some of our other partners, but we'll be rolling this out for you guys within, I would say, the next couple of months. The first thing is a program from a company called Prepared Live, and it allows us to obtain pictures, video, and other data from 911 callers. So this is easiest if we think about it in terms of use cases. Let's say a caller calls and says that that they, my father's elderly and has Alzheimer's and he's wandered off and I can't find him. Do you have a picture of him? Yes. Can you send it to me? Yes. We can get it and then we can put it out on all the patrol cars, all of them in the community if we wanted to. If there's an active crime in progress, we could ask somebody if they're in a safe enough location where they could send us some video, and so they could begin to send us video. We can get a better description of the suspect, where it's happening, and also that is recorded for evidence. And so those are some of the new things we're rolling out. Along with that comes some enhanced location, especially important in areas, some of your more rural parts of town don't have really good addressing or landmarks, and so we're bringing in the ability to utilize better GPS on cell phones to get more accurate locations so we can get a more timely response. So that's a program that we're going to be rolling out here within the next few months. Another program that we'll be rolling out is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with 988. It is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and Emergence Health Network here in the El Paso community answers 988 phone calls for over 54 counties in Texas. We have been fortunate enough to bring 6 of their mental health professionals and bring them actually into the call center, the primary call center in El Paso, and we are now have the ability to do direct call transfers for 911 callers. Sometimes a caller will dial 911 and they have a need, but it might not be law enforcement or fire. They might really need some kind of mental health, and in the past we haven't had the ability to get that caller the resource that they need, and we end up having to dispatch a law enforcement vehicle over there, and that ties up law enforcement, which could be freed up for something else. So this program will allow us to actually screen calls for callers that may have more of a mental health need, and we'll be able to transfer the call directly to a mental health professional, and Emergence Health Network would be able to follow up with that. And so that, I think, is a really huge benefit for the citizens in your community, and we'll be rolling that out into your 911 center within the next few months. In fact, you'll probably see an MOU coming up. So now it's been prefaced. But anyway, I just wanted to highlight some of the things. We continue to work with you guys. This year you transferred into a new 911 dispatch center. it's amazing. Your old center was desperately lacking, and the new center that you built is amazing. It's state-of-the-art, and so kudos to you guys. We were very instrumental in helping you do that from a technology standpoint, as well as provisioning of some of the equipment and furniture for that. You should be really proud of that center. I've been by to see it a couple of times. If you haven't been by to see it, you should check it out. It's pretty neat. But anyway, just wanted to highlight some of the things that we have a district have been working on that would benefit directly the citizens of your community. And unless you have any questions, that's all I really wanted to say.
Mayor, I have a
Questions?
question. Yeah.
Mr. Cruz?
Mr. Calderwood?
Mhm.
Yeah. When it comes down to, I guess, I don't know what term you would use, but auditing what we have in the past compared to what we have right now, do you and your team come down and kind of look at the software we're looking at and maybe the tools that our team has, or does that need to come from within? Is that an internal process that takes place to where our staff picks up the phone, they call you and they say, hey, listen, come look at our stuff, what do we need? Or is that something that you all, as a service provider to all these municipalities, do on your end? You know, you visit and you say, okay, this is what you guys are lacking, this is the setup that you need to better serve your community.
It's a little bit of both. For the systems that we provide, we're constantly looking and evaluating, making sure we're on the latest releases, the latest platforms, especially from a cybersecurity perspective. But also, we're certainly available anytime anybody in your PSAP stands for Public Safety Answering Point. It's another word for your dispatch center. Picks up the phone and calls us. We have a lot of technical resources, and we're happy always to go down there and evaluate what you're doing or listen to areas where we can improve.
Thank you.
Questions?
Motion to approve? Second.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos is absent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda? Second.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos is absent.
Moving on to regular agenda. Human Resources Department, item number 11, discussion and action on approving the updated job description for Chief of Police. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, all. Carol Candelaria, HR Director. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This action is to approve the amendment to the Chief of Police job description. It was compared to with various other municipalities and similars in surrounding departments. Changes that are currently being recommended and made is to adjust the salary range from $109,999.40 to $119,995.20. Also that was added was the minimum qualifications to include a master's degree as being a preferred requirement, although it's not a mandatory, but it is preferred, but also to include 5 years of experience in the capacity of a lieutenant, rather than just someone that's just coming off as a police officer. In addition to that is to add additional second education and training from LEMIT, which is the Law Enforcement Management International of Texas, and of course the FBI National Academy is a preferred requirement. Also included is higher education in the TCOL master certification, since we are requiring that of all of our police officers to get higher education in that, as well as preferring some additional physical requirements. All of those areas were highlighted in the job description in red. At this time, do you all have any questions for me?
Questions?
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos is absent.
Item number 12, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Policy Department Policy 2.9 Mental Health Leave.
Motion to approve? Second.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. The city is striving to become accredited on the best practices for the police department, and a part of that accreditation is to include the changes that have occurred in these mental health policy, in this particular one. In these changes, the purpose of this amendment policy is to approve the leave of mental health days after the traumatic event that, as required through the Texas Government Code. These amended policies were approved by Civil Service on July 24th. At this time, I do have Lieutenant Smith, if you have any additional questions to that policy.
Questions? No questions?
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
The subsequent 6 items are also policy revisions to the police department. You can take them all at once.
I was gonna ask, take them as a whole.
Would I have to read them all at the same time?
You don't, but it's not gonna hurt if you do.
Okay. Item number 13, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Policy Department, Policy 4.1, Hiring and Selection. Item 14, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Policy Department, Policy 4.9, Community Outreach and Customer Service. Item number 15, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Policy Department, Policy 4.10, Volunteers Chaplains. Item number 16, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Policy Department, Policy 7.35, K-19. Item number 17, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Policy Department, Policy 8.7, Line of Duty, Death or Injury. Item number 18, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Policy Department, Policy 8.8, Honor Guard Detail.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. Again, once again, good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, these revisions in these policies is to obtain accreditation for the police department on the amendments of these following policies. All of these policies were presented in civil service on July 24th and were approved. I do have Lieutenant Smith to address any questions you may have on any one of these policies.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Grants Department, item number 19, discussion and action to adopt Resolution 760, authorizing the city manager or her designee to submit a minor boundary modification application to the U.S. Foreign Trade Zones Board and to coordinate with taxing entities for letters of support on behalf of Pilot Freight Services, 901 Logistics Center, Court Building 3, Socorro, Texas, 79927.
Motion to approve. Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, City Development Director, and we do have our in-house FTZ expert that will speak a little bit about this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jose Quinones of the Grants Department. This item is to allow the City of Socorro to proceed with what's called a Foreign Trade Zone Minor Boundary Application. The MBM application, as it's known, is to designate and allow a company to operate a site. It's called a usage-driven site. And so what we want to do, we know our application for the grant of authority is in the final stage. It should get to us by October, according to the Foreign Trade Zone Board staff. And so within these 2 months, we are doing the legwork for this MBM application so that we have it ready as soon as we get our grant of authority. We can turn around to the board the same day and submit that application for the client. It'll be the first project for Socorro coming in as a foreign trade zone, right, to meet their demands. And then they can work on the activation with U.S. Customs. So the first part, of the legwork, we'll be doing it this next 1 to 2 months. Any questions?
Questions?
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos is absent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Planning and Zoning Department, item number 20, discussion and action to approve special exception request to allow 12 Type B mobile vending units on one lot. The current ordinance, Chapter 8, Business, Article 2, Vendors and Solicitors, Division 4, Mobile Vendors, Section 8, 1-120, Location Restrictions, allow up to 3 mobile vending units per tract parcel or platted lot. We have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lorraine Quimito, City Planner. Item 20 is a special exemption request. The request is from the applicant, owner of 11400 Socorro Road. Their representative, David Martinez, is in attendance today to answer any questions you might have after our presentation. The location is zoned C2 General Commercial. The lot is 14,297 square feet in size. Currently, the site is commercial, operating under the land use along with some undeveloped land and a ponding area. The request is for a special exception request to allow 12 Type B mobile vending units on one lot. The current ordinance only allows for 3, up to 3, unless a special exception is granted by City Council. And the purpose of the request is to create a food court with 12 mobile vending units, a seating area, and they would like to add parking on an adjacent lot. The recommendation of staff is that this is way too many mobile vending units for this one lot. We would not recommend approving 12. There are currently, as I mentioned, several other businesses on the lot operating various hours of the day. If council does choose to approve more than the 3 mobile units, we would ask that you consider placing conditions on the property. We ask that the property be properly platted, and then that they apply for a conditional use permit for the adjacent property to complete the process for that. The adjacent property is a special use district, and it has a telecommunications tower, and no plan was included in the approval of the zoning change. So if we approve the amended, if we approve the conditional use permit, we can include maybe the parking. If City Council seems that would be adequate, and that they remove the barrier that currently they have in place, cutting off access to the rear telecommunications tower. So the next slide is a general location map showing the property southeast of the intersection of Passmore and Socorro Road. This is the zoning map. As you can see, kind of in the hatch mark, the location 11400 Socorro Road, and the adjacent property, also the same owner, in blue, is the special use district. It is surrounded by agricultural uses, utilities, and then other commercial uses to the east and south. The next slide, the next several slides are a couple of pictures. Here is a look at the intersection of Passmore and Socorro Road, and you can get a kind of sense of one of the access points to the property and the number of businesses that are on there. Here is looking to the back of the property where they would be placing the food vending units. And the next slide shows kind of from that same spot looking at the telecommunications tower in the adjacent property. And then the next photo is looking over to the rear of the existing businesses that are on the lot. Here's an aerial photograph so you can get a sense of all of the space and how it's laid out. To the top of the bounded red polygon is the business the building that contains the restaurant and the laundromat. The two parallel buildings to that corner on the south are the two bays for the kind of self-serve car wash. And then the rear is just vacant with that ponding area in the top left corner. So the next slide is the site plan. They do not want to make any changes to the front part of the property, but they do, as you can see, want to place the food courts behind the area where the car washes are, with a little dining area in the middle. They are expanding the ponding area to the rear of the food trucks, and then not a part of this request today, but also as part of the consideration for your consideration, because parking would and the vehicular traffic patterns in the lot would be an issue. Is the adjacent parking inside of that special use district lot. So there is a lot of activity in this lot, and a big portion of that is vacant in the rear, and they're just trying to better utilize the space. So in summary, this is a request for the property at 11400 Socorro Road. They are requesting a special exemption to allow them to have 12 spaces for mobile food vending units, a dining area and parking lot that is the purpose, but the request is solely for the permission to have more than 3 units, and what they're asking for is 12. They would also be required to adhere to all of the current requirements of mobile food vending under the food vending ordinance.
Do you have questions? Mr. Nevares?
Ms. Camito, are those the concerns? How to get to or how to access?
Yeah, if you want to go back to the site plan, there's a lot of activity already going on at the location. There are 2 access points off of Socorro, and if we come over to Socorro, you can see the cars come into the car wash, go into the next bay for the drying. Cars come in, and they can come in at either of these. There's no signage designating one an in and one an out. They go around the car wash to maybe get into the drive-through. For the south part of the building is a restaurant with a drive-through, and then the laundromat next door. So now you have additional cars coming in, making their way to the back. Pedestrians walking back and forth from the parking to the food court area. It is a lot of activity. That would be something for you to consider.
Is there an alternative from the property owner?
I had mentioned that there would be a request for fewer. The representative of the applicant is here, if you'd like to ask any questions.
But, and I guess what I'm getting at, because we're approving 3, or recommending 3.
They can be allowed up to 3. They do still have to follow all of the other requirements, and the requirements of the current ordinance wouldn't require them to have that additional parking. So there would be adequate space for 3 mobile units. They would have to improve the surface, because that is a requirement of the current ordinance. So if people were coming in and out, I don't see where the staff would not allow 3. They already approved 2. I don't know that the 2 are there at the same time, but currently this address does have 2 vending mobile units that are approved to park here.
So the one that's currently there would be part of it? Isn't there like a little stand in front?
That is another property that's also, another use on the property that I neglected to mention, but there is a little unit, and it's not really a mobile unit because it doesn't move. It's been there, from what I understand, for a very long time, and it's permitted as a little kiosk. And the current ordinance requires for mobile vending units to come in and out. So you cannot leave a unit in a lot overnight.
Is the owner here?
The owner is not here, but their representative is, Mr. Martinez.
Buenas tardes. Es que se me hace drástico el cambio de 12, por decir, a permitir nomás 3. ¿Qué pudieran hacer ustedes para poder solucionar ese problema del tráfico, por decir?
Hay una parte en el plano que es la parte oeste que se puede abrir y por ahí puede circular más tráfico. Ya lo habíamos visto. Ese. Y luego, ¿qué más se puede hacer? No, pues todo, abrir un gate donde están las food trucks. Es que en realidad no son food trucks como las que se imaginan que son grandes. Hay smokers chiquitos, hay roasted corn, grills, ¿sabes cómo es? No es en realidad el tamaño lo que está enseñando. Todavía el dibujo no está terminado completamente, el plano. Yo vine hace mucho tiempo la primera vez con un dibujo y una de sus clerks dijo, sí se puede hacer, pero deje voy con planning and zoning. Sobró 20 minutos, regresó y me dijo, sí se puede hacer. Entonces nosotros ya empezamos a hacer los planos, contratos y todo. Vengo a renovar mi licencia y luego me dicen que no. Ya estaba aprobado según ellos. Y ya está hecho.
Anteriormente ya los tenía entonces.
Ya me han dicho que sí.
I have a question, man.
¿Pero no los colocaron en ese tiempo?
No.
No.
Mr. Cruz?
I think the city of Socorro needs to better define what mobile vending unit is, since the representative is stating that. Because I'm envisioning like an actual food truck. I'm picturing 12 food trucks, and that's a bit excessive for the lot when our ordinance only allows for 3. And I'm okay with the food trucks up to 3, as per our ordinance. But 12, that's excessive. But I think that what the gentleman's stating here today is that it's not a full-blown food truck. It's kind of like a smaller version. So I'd ask the city to better define what is considered a mobile vending unit, because a paletero pushing a little ice cream cart could also be considered a mobile vending unit, if I'm correct. Or correct me if I'm wrong.
No, the mobile, sorry. So the mobile vending unit for type B would consider a small cart, hot dog cart as part of this. But as you can see in the drawing, the spaces are there, and that's what they're allotting for each of the 12. And those, I can't see the dimensions.
What I would, I guess,
But you would
So,
still want to consider the space that's being set aside for each.
One, I think that regardless of the size, you still are worried about the people that are coming in and out, even to buy a corn on the cob,
Correct.
right? I think that it has the space for the bigger ones, but you're still challenged with the people that are wanting to come in and out, and at some point can create a hazard.
yeah, ultimately liability would end up on this table here when we accept a special exception request like this for 12 units when it's 9 over what's permitted right now. I have to agree with staff and allow for the 3. I'm not against the vending units, but I think 3 is just right. So I think that this wouldn't be in their favor, though.
Mayor.
Mr. Garcia?
Señor, ¿cuáles días van a ser las food trucks?
Eso no sé exactamente, pero me imagino que van a ser como el weekend, viernes, sábado y domingo.
Ok, y mi segunda pregunta va a ser, si el parking lot que están enseñando se llena, ¿dónde van los demás gente? Porque si estoy imaginando dónde está, van a que se cruzar Socorro Road en la noche, cuando hay nomás 2 carriles, ¿verdad? Eso es lo que a mí me da poquita precaución, porque, porque cuando hay food trucks llega mucha gente, sí es cierto. Pero el parking lot no se ve grande para que agarre todos los carros que quieran y la gente se va a parquear en otras partes, en otros negocios, y yo creo de ahí va a haber algo, o si no, hay un contrato con los otros negocios para dejar, o ¿cómo cree?
Pues todavía no se sabe si se va a llenar el parking de aquí, de donde se van a hacer, o no se va a llenar, no sabemos. Qué bueno que se llene, para el dueño, no para mí. Y pues no sabemos si se va a llenar o no.
Pero
Sí, sí entiendo.
pues si algo
Sí,
pasa, alguien cruzando, porque ahí van muy racio la gente, y que cruce o que algo pase en noche, porque no hay muchas luces para allá, es algo que para mí es algo que tengo que tener precaución.
Ajá, sí entiendo.
¿Okay?
Mr. Nevares?
Well, this brings up a few concerns, because what happens when we have a church bazaar and the setup is pretty much that? Booths around, folks sitting in the middle. And we all know folks are crossing the street because the parking lots get full right away. So what are their requirements when having one of these? I mean, because now I'm comparing it, since he spoke of just having it Friday, Saturday, Sunday as an example. A church bazaar would be the same, right? So look into those. And then, pues yo le diría a usted que platicara, regrésese y platique un poquito más con el dueño para ver qué modificaciones puedan presentar ustedes al Departamento de Zona y Planeación para ver qué se puede hacer aquí.
Está bien, porque estaba diciendo que nomás permitían 3 trocas, ¿verdad? En ese lote, en Top Truck. Pero ese lote está dividido en 2 traques. Por cada traque se permiten 3 legalmente, 3 trocas, o deben ser 6 trocas grandes de las que están viendo aquí ahorita. Pero no va a ser de esas trocas, a lo mejor 1 o 2. Las demás van a ser, como le digo, son puros carritos.
Sí.
El lote de enseguida no es comercial y nomás se permiten en zonas comerciales y de mixed use, pero sí, ahorita puede tener las 3 en el lote de enseguida que es comercial. Habíamos hablado anteriormente si había algún número de espacios que el dueño está, si no les daban los 12, si sabiendo que puede hacer los 3 sin permiso, hay algún más, otro número de espacios que el dueño pueda usar.
Bueno, lo que a mí me preocupa sería la gente que estuvieran en cómo se puede mover la gente y más rápido, porque qué tal si hay un fuego allí en una de estas trocas, cómo se puede salir la gente, un plan de evacuación a Socorro Road, que es muy pequeño, que solamente es de 2 carriles. Eso me preocupa a mí, porque solamente hay una salida que digamos póngale que 2, le digo 2, vamos a decir 2, pero hay los edificios enfrente, entonces se van a tener que andar moviendo por los edificios y no van a poder salirse en tiempo, digamos que haya una emergencia. También si falta, no sé, alguien de entrar para la emergencia, también está difícil. Para mí sería las 3 trocas por el momento. Si no pueden encontrar un modo de hacerlo un poquito más pequeño y haber una ruta de evacuación.
Bueno, hay 3 salidas. Hay 3 salidas ahorita, no son 2.
Lo que veo, lo que está aquí son 2.
Ok, la de arriba ya hemos hablado y el señor Lurín me dijo que se podía quitar esa parte de arriba para tener más flujo de tráfico. Entonces son 3. Sí hay movimiento. Pues venimos aquí a que es lo que nos digan, nada, ustedes. para que se pueda aprobar el proyecto. Pero 3 trocas no me van a servir.
Mayor.
Y aquí traigo fotografías de
One
otros lugares donde hay más trocas y el terreno es más chico. Traigo de 4 lugares y ellos están con sus trocas en la tierra y ellos están trabajando según legalmente. Nosotros vamos a tener asfalto, pounding, vamos a tener landscape, árboles, turf y juegos para los niños y ellos no los tienen. Y ahí le va a dar trabajo, le va a dar vista al lugar y tú sabes.
Mr. Cruz?
No, I appreciate the representatives pointing out of potential illegal business operation. I think code enforcement can take that information and follow up. Thank you. Es que no es necesariamente lo que diga la mesa, tenemos reglas también que tenemos que seguir. Esas reglas son reglas que tiene la ciudad por medios de ingenieros civiles y otras leyes que seguimos con el condado y otros municipales. Sí me gusta la idea, es muy bonito y me gusta el concepto de lo que quieren hacer. Está muy padre el concepto. Lo que pasa ahorita es que primero hay que hacer ese cambio de proveer que operan más de 3 trocas en esa área. Tenía una pregunta para Ms. Quimiro. I had a question, Ms. Quimiro. I noticed that there's some language there that states that there may be the requirement for removal of a barrier for the telecommunications tower. Who owns the telecommunications tower?
I don't know who the provider is, but it is on property that's owned by the owner of both lots.
So then we don't even have their buy-in to even remove that barrier, and we're going to approve.
No, I'm sorry. No, the barrier is a fence in between the building.
It's a chain link.
No. I don't believe we can see it from the photograph. But the building that currently has the restaurant and the laundromat to the north, there's a fence cutting off what's required access to the
I
tower.
understand.
So not referring to anything regarding the tower.
Oh, okay.
No, it's actually.
So it's the owner's fence that would need to be, okay.
Yeah.
So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to follow staff's recommendations with the allowing of 3 at this time until there is an approved plan on behalf of the applicant that would allow for them to operate in such manner, and then maybe we can better define some of the language in our ordinances as well. That's my motion.
So
I don't think
my recommendation would be to either postpone the item because the 3 are allowed. That way he can come back if he, goes and talks to the owners and says, hey, well, we won't do 12, we'll do 5.
Make some modifications and.
Yeah.
Modifications, but because if we make a motion, then, to bring it back, it gets a little bit harder. But right now, he will be allowed to do 3. And then once he has a better plan or he feels he can come and present it.
Okay,
for
so I retract my
further
motion,
review.
and I'd like to motion to postpone the current presented item at this time. ¿Sería suficiente 2 semanas, señor, para poder presentar otro plan? Sí, 2 semanas. El siguiente junta que vamos a tener va a ser el 17 de agosto.
¿Está bien?
Sí, okay. I'd like to go ahead and postpone this item to August 17th.
Second.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Iván Colom Villalobos is absent.
Gracias. Item number 22, discussion and action to approve agreement with Mounts Green Myers, Safi, Paxson, and Gallatin, PC MGM of the firm for the city attorney services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Adriana Rodarte, City Manager. This item is to approve the agreement with the MGM firm. City Council awarded the RFQ to MGM firm on June 1st, 2023. Council requested to bring the agreement back for review. The terms and conditions are pretty straightforward and standard. The $5 increase in hourly rates is less than the current inflation rate. and the rates are reasonable. I don't know if you all have any questions.
Can we add like 2 more last names to the firm's name?
Yes, sir.
All right, Jim.
De la O.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 23, discussion and action to ratify the purchase of 2 Model T-12 HD Towmaster trailers from Four Rivers Equipment in the amount of $33,381.88.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is requesting approval to ratify the purchase of 2 Towmaster trailers in the amount of $33,381.88, which are identified in our capital program for flooding relief using ARPA funds.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 24, discussion and action to approve the anticipated proposed tax rate for fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024 for the city of Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So, good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, based on our last budget workshop, staff is requesting approval for the fiscal year 2024, the voter approval rate of .702021.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 25, discussion and action to approve the scheduling of 2 public hearings on August 17th and September 14th, 2023 for the anticipated proposed tax rate for fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, staff is recommending the public hearings to take place on August 17th and September 14th for the approval of the fiscal year 2024 voter approval rate of .702021.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 26, discussion and action to approve the purchase of 6 2023 Dodge Durango Police Pursuit vehicles from John Jones Police Pursuit Vehicle Facility in the amount of $368,730.
Motion to approve.
Second.
This item is requesting approval for the purchase of 6 Durango Dodge Police Pursuit vehicles in the amount of $368,730. The Socorro Police Department will utilize ARPA funding to increase its fleet size with the acquisition of these vehicles. This will increase available mobile patrol available on a daily basis, which are currently hindered by a vehicle shortage. Also, I want to add that this vendor is a member of the Co-op Buy Board Indiana Contract TB 3064, which meets our procurement requirements.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 27, discussion and action to approve the purchase of equipment for the 6 police units from Advanced Communication and Electronics, Inc. in the amount of $41,816.10.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Requesting approval to purchase the equipment for those 6 Durangos from Advanced Communication and Electronics. Also using ARPA funds. Vendor is a member of the Buy Board, New Mexico State Contract 10-0000-20-00048, which meets our procurement processes.
Thank you.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Moving on to Mayor and Council, item number 28, discussion and action for the official land dedication of F.E. Jackson.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The item that I'm bringing to the table today is it's going to allow Socorro to, let me get the proper terminology up here in front of me here. So F.E. Jackson is just one of, I don't want to use the term many, but there's some easements or access roads that allow our residents to enter and exit their home. And so what happened a long time ago is when the land was being sold and people were developing homes, they used this roadway to enter and exit, but nobody really became responsible for it. So now, just looking at the way the roads are left after heavy rainfall or whatnot, emergency vehicles, our local trash pickup and other utility service vehicles are having to enter these areas, and they leave it pretty bad. Bad to the point where mom can't take kids to school when it's muddy because she risks getting stuck in the mud. But at the end of the day, tracking all that mud onto our roadways that are paved also causes it to be messy, and then staff to have to go out there and clean it up. It's more time, more maintenance, more money. I've provided some backup for you all to see, and if the paved road here down in the left-hand side corner, that's going to be Socorro Road, and then the road that leads you into those the highlighted areas is going to be F.E. Jackson. And I also provided a short clip, and I don't know if staff was able to load that up. And yeah, do you mind playing that clip for us to see? So this is F.E. Jackson, what it looks like after, and this isn't even a real heavy rain. This is just that Texas rain we get, enough to get the vehicles dirty, right? But at the end of the day, it looks bad. It's not a very long piece, but the only way we're going to be able to pave this at the end of the day is for this property to get dedicated to the city. The only way it can get dedicated to the city is all landowners that access this roadway sign off on it and they dedicate it formally to the city of Socorro. Staff has already gone out there to measure it. But at the end of the day, we want to do things right. We want the surveying to be done. So in order for us to be able to get pricing to see what this is going to cost, we're going to have to get a survey company to go out there and look at it and draw lines for us, come back and say, okay, this is what the easement's going to consist of. Again, we want to make it as legal as possible, and what I mean by that is you want to make it wide enough for an emergency vehicle to be able to go in there and access it. You're talking about an ambulance or a fire engine or whatnot. Again, it's an old street. There's not much you can do with it, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to make it right for the residents so that they can get up in the morning, drive out on the paved road the way we do. Us council members, I don't think any of us live on any of these types of streets here. We don't got to worry about these issues, but that's ultimately what I'm trying to do, and main objective is to get this street paved. We're going to have to start off with surveying first, which is why I'm bringing it up in this manner. So I'm asking this agenda item get approved for staff to move forward with the initial survey to begin the process to be able to come back and report back to council with prices and whatnot, right?
That need to take place in order for us to be able to go forward with the dedication. So we will go out to survey so they can identify the meets and bounds of the properties. Then we have to either do a deed, execute a deed to the city, or we can go through a title company to make sure that the owners actually own the title. I mean, there's several steps that need to happen. So we will gather all that cost and bring to you all for approval.
Okay. Questions?
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 29, discussion and action for participation in the El Paso Chamber 2023 Community Advisory Board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The next item here is to partake in the Community Advisory Board with the El Paso Chamber. the main objective of this committee here, or board, is to help shape and influence the oldest and foremost economic and workshop development nonprofit organizations in the Borderplex region and build strategic relationships in the community to strengthen the mission of the El Paso Chamber and the City of Socorro, Texas. This is an annual subscription fee of $500. It does require representation on behalf of the city. At this time, I'm requesting membership fee in the amount of $500 should the council wish to allow me to participate in the El Paso Chamber 2023 Community Advisory Board on behalf of the City of Socorro.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to delete items 30, 31, and 32?
Motion to delete items 30 to 32.
Second.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Would anyone like to do the honors?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Meeting adjourns at 6:59 PM. Have a good night.